Hi girls, me again, and my wonderful new stand for my phone is a Pringles tub. Okay, so hopefully we can get through this one. Okay, so this is the one you had for your homework. And most of you pulled it almost all the way out. You forgot the last little part of the question, so we'll just run through it anyway to get us back to where we were. So it's page 399 in your book, question 3D, part 2. So what they'd given us was 1, 3, 7, 13, 21. And they said this continues this pattern. Most of you, in fact I think everyone, noticed that that was the first term, the second term, the third term, the fourth term, the fifth term. If we were looking for the sixth term, seventh term, eighth term, we'd be able to work it out. We worked out that the common difference, so the first difference between 1 and 3 is 2, then 3 and 7 is 4, 7 and 13 is 6, 13 and 21 is 8. So we note that the differences are not the same each time. And because that first difference, and these are called your first difference, are not the same, this is not a linear pattern, and we look at the second difference. So we look at the difference between the differences. So the difference between 2 and 4 is 2, 4 and 6 is 2, 6 and 8 is 2. And you did it in that nice table, like I had shown you. This is just another way of them displaying it. So in case they give you a question where it's displayed a little bit different, that's another way they could display it. So it's the same table, it's just instead of your table, which is vertical, it's a horizontal table. It makes it look a little bit different. You all then gave me the general term. You all picked out A. So your first thing is to work out your second difference and to have that second difference. So A is equal to 2 over 2, which is 1. So your Tn now is equal to 1n squared. You don't need the 1, but you can have it if you want. Bn plus C. Most of you then went with term 1 to sub in. Some of you didn't, you went with term 2 and term 3 because in the previous example I used term 2 and 3. It's fine, whichever you choose. I'm going to use term 1 because term 1 is a positive, so it's easy enough to use. So everywhere I have n now, I'm going to replace that with 1, so it's going to be 1 squared. So 1 squared, you could put another 1 there if you want, that one, that's fine. Plus b times 1 plus c. And the answer to that is 1 because term 1 is 1. So that's going to be 1 plus b plus c is equal to 1. I'm going to move the 1 across here. So you're going to have b plus c is equal to 0. Now, that is where some of you stopped getting it correct. Okay. Term 2 then. So if we look at term 2, so I'm instead of n in this formula, so instead of n, so I have n squared plus bn plus c. I'm going to put 2 in. So 2 squared plus 2 times b plus c. And term 2 is equal to 3. So the answer to this one is 3. And that's where some of you again had difficulty. So that's going to be 2 squared is 4 plus 2b plus c is equal to 3. And you're going to move your 4 over. So we're going to take away 4 from both sides. So it's 2b plus c is equal to 3 minus 4 is minus 1. Now you've got two formulas, 1 and 2. And you're going to do a simultaneous equation with those two. So it's going to be b plus c is equal to 0. 2b plus c is equal to minus 1. Going to change the signs across the bottom line. Okay, so that's going to become a minus, that's going to become a minus, and that's going to become a plus. Why am I doing that? I have the same number in front of c and a different sign now, and I'll be able to cancel them out. So b minus 2b is minus 1b. C minus c is gone, and 0 plus 1 is 1. So minus b is equal to 1. So to figure out what b is equal to, we divide across by minus 1. So b is equal to minus 1. We now know that what b is, so we can substitute into equation number 1. So if we take a look at equation number 1 was b plus c is equal to 0. We now know that that's minus 1 plus c, minus 1. So instead of b, it's minus 1 is equal to 0. Move the minus 1 by adding 1. So you're going to add 1 to both sides. And you get c is equal to 1. So now you know a is equal to 1, b is equal to minus 1, c is equal to 1. So your Tn now is 1n squared minus 1n plus c is equal to 0. And again, those ones are not needed, so you could write it as Tn is equal to n squared minus n plus c is equal to 0. And that's your quadratic pattern. Okay, a good chunk of you got it all the way out. A lot of you went wrong once you had to do the subbing in. Where you went wrong is you would sub in the 1 and you'd sub in the 2 and you were doing that grand, but what you would do is you were using the answers wrong. So you'd say term 1, you'd sub in the 1 for the ends, but you'd let it equal to 1, which worked out fine. But when you got to term 2, you'd let it equal to 2. But it wasn't equal to 2, term 2 was equal to 3 based on what they gave us. Okay. The last part then you all forgot to do it. I think maybe one has it in it, but it asks you for, in the question, so go back to the question, this question 3, it asks you for the first term, which you gave me, the second difference, which you gave me. You wrote the algebraic equation as best as you could. Now they wanted it with x's, we gave it with n's. We could change it to x's if you wanted to, but you wouldn't need to. But the last thing said work out the 21st term. So the last part of that is where you have to sub in T21. So you're going to have to go 21 squared minus 21 plus c is equal to 0. Okay, and you're subbing that in to get an answer. And like all poorly prepared teachers, I do not have my calculator with me. Actually don't even know. I haven't seen a calculator in a few days, so I have to go down and have a look for it. But you type that in as you see it. So you go 21 squared minus 21 plus, and I shouldn't have a plus c, that should be just plus 1 here, plus 1, plus 1. You type it into your calculator and you'll get an answer. Okay. So again, I want you to stay with page 399. So you're going to do the page 399 because we need to get a few more of you all the way to the end. And I am aware that these ones are hard, but you do have to just give it another bash for me. Question 3, you're going to do part D and you're going to do part 3 and part 4. And let's see if we can make an improvement. Get 1 or 2 more of you across the line and we'll do those ones out for you the next day. Okay. And I'll put this up now as an assignment for you, and that'll be due for tomorrow. So just 2 questions, but they're long questions. They're 2 pages each. So they do take a while. And when I come back on, I'll have a calculator and I'll give you the answer to the last one, the final part of the last one, before we start the next question. Okay. Best of luck today, girls, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.